Hello, it's Mrs. Duncan, your English 102 online instructor, and we're just going to talk about what you've got for Unit 4. We're already starting our fourth week of classes and working our way through, and now we're on our second story, Rocking Horse Winter, set in a different time, different scenario, but a very kind of interesting, very fictionalized story. Everyday use very much seems like it could have happened in that way and something that's easy to identify with. Rocking Horse Winter is going to be very quickly, not sci-fi, not science fiction that far, but you're going to tell pretty quickly this is a fiction story, and you're going to need to read a little bit of the background on it. But let's talk about what you have to do. So let's look at the to-do list. Okay, last week, Unit 3, you submitted the first draft of Essay 1 to the assignment box. And during this particular week that you're in, Unit 4, is the week that I'm going to be looking at your draft and making comments on it and giving it back to you for revision and for completion. So number one here is something different. You take that same draft, you put it in the assignment box for me. Now you're going to participate in peer review, okay? And so for you all to see each other's papers and peer review, we've got to put them in the discussion board. So you're doing that, okay? You put your draft in the discussion board. And again, you've got to do this early in the week, because if there's nothing there, it's not there, people won't see it to peer review it. If you wait and put it in at the end of the week, you didn't participate in peer review. There's nobody that's maybe available to peer review, and certainly you don't have time to revise it. So that greatly affects your grade. We'll look at that in a minute. So you've got to put your draft in. There's points for that. And then you have to peer review someone else's draft that's submitted to the discussion board. Okay, so you got to put one in, and then you got to look at somebody's that they put in and peer review it for a grade. Okay, so that's important because you got to do that at the beginning. During the week, though, while you're working on, this draft, revising it, and so forth, we're starting our next story, which is Rocking Horse Winter. I mentioned it a while ago. And I have a video lecture on that sets that whole story up, so you want to make sure that you're watching that. And yeah, we're going to be working on two stories at the same time. That's just how it goes. You're writing an essay reflecting on everyday use, but we've already started reading and studying our next story. Then there's a quiz over these materials, okay, and they will include some of the materials that you read last week in Unit 3 on plot and conflict analysis. So I had mentioned that before in Unit 3, and here's the quiz. So it's a little bit cumulative in that sense, but it'll be focused on this material and the material you learned last time, because it's not just for last week, it's for all of our essays. Alright, so your readings, I won't click on that for you, but let's look a little bit more at the discussion board. And this is the link, and this is new because we're doing all the essay assignments for the first time. Alright, we'll scroll past your introductions, and there's the Unit 3 discussion that you participated in week 3. Which was really to help you, get started on your essay. And here we are to the Unit 4 peer review. And again, it reminds you, create a thread and post your draft of Essay 1 as an attached file. Okay. Then you've got that's points right there. 15 points for submitting your draft out of the total 65. Then you come in and select a draft that's not been reviewed yet. That's important. We don't want everybody reviewing the same, paper. We don't want 3 or 4 people getting 10 reviews and 2 or 3 people getting no reviews. Okay, so you need to go in and pick somebody's draft that has not been reviewed yet. You can tell when you look at the list, and you can check and see if there's replies. All right. Now I have an assigned peer review rubric form that you have to use. It's really simple. Okay. So I call it a rubric, and that's what you use. And you also put some comments in there. So it won't take really long. It does need to be thoughtful. So in addition to the peer review points for your response, okay, your grade is going to be affected by timeliness. So if you're doing it early in the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you're going to get 100% credit for what you did. Okay, if you post early for your draft, you get 100% of the 15. And if you post late on your peer review, like if you wait till Sunday, you only get half credit for that. So it's divided up by when you post. Thursday through Saturday is okay. There's still time for that person to read your comments and make some revisions, so you get 80% credit, which is B, a low B. All right, let me click on here and show you the little rubric. Now I've already created a thread and posted this, and everybody's going to need to take a look here. So you click on mine there, and it again goes through the basic directions, but some specific ones. To use the rubric here, you've got to copy and paste it into your own document, and then it's yours. You've got one. You title it and everything. You save it. Make sure you save it with a clear name, okay? And you use the highlight feature to fill it out. I'll show you in a second. Then you attach it to the classmates to post. In addition, though, don't just highlight. You've got to make some general comments in the text box. What am I looking for? What you thought the overall strengths, that's 1. 2, weaknesses of the essay were, and 3, what suggestions you have for improving the essay. Okay, so there's the 2 parts, the rubric, which is simple, use the highlight feature, and your comments. And timeliness affects your grade as well. So let's take a look at this little document. You open it up. Okay, remember you always have to tell it to open again, so there we go. Remember, you're going to go up in the top of your bar right there, and you're going to choose a Save As, so that you can save it to your computer, and you need to give it a name. All right, pull that back down. Now what's missing from here, and you need to just add it in, okay? And I'll try to see if I can fix that too, but I've got to know whose paper, okay, because it won't be evident when I do the grading. You have to state whose name, whose paper you evaluated, and then you got to have your name in excuse me, in here somewhere, that you're the one that completed this, so I can give you proper credit for it. Okay, so maybe we'll just have to come in and say use the little thing, writer, that's the person, right, whose paper, and then you're the reviewer, right? There we go. So make sure you add something in on your document that says that you're, whose paper it was, and you're the person who reviewed it. Now let me pull this back up here so you can see what I'm doing. All right, let's say that you're reading the paper, you look through, and you're looking for their thesis statement, and you decide that, wow, you had a hard time finding it. Maybe it was kind of clear. Maybe it just stated a fact. Maybe it didn't have 3 focal points and just 2. So maybe it was kind of okay, it was there, but there was a little bit of a problem. So you go up here and click highlight, and then you highlight that. Okay, see how simple that is? So you got to read all the descriptions and highlight the one you think that characterizes that draft the best. Well, they always have to prove their thesis with evidence from the text, and even though it's a rough draft and it's not finished, you have to evaluate what you've been given. Do they use at least 3 pieces of evidence, 1 for each point there, or do they only have a couple, or maybe they only have 1, and are they missing quotes at all? So whatever one characterizes that. And then of course they can't just have quotes, they have to have commentary, okay, that explains how the evidence supports their thesis, and so you got to evaluate whether they have commentary that is convincing, no commentary, really good commentary. And I'm kind of focusing on here because these are drafts, and they're very rarely of this kind of quality, okay, because they're just the first time around. And it doesn't help them if you just say, oh, you did such a great job. That doesn't help them improve their paper at all. So I'm really looking for you to identify weaknesses and kind of pinpoint where they're at, and give them that helpful feedback. So afterward on your document, you've got to come in, and we'll take the little thing off and just type. You just come in and type a statement that says the strengths of this essay are, and you type out whatever it is. The weaknesses are, and you finish that out, and then my suggestions to improve the essay are, and you finish that out. So I'm going to be looking for that. This is very specific from you, and again, make sure your name, I would go ahead and add your name here, your name, reviewer's name. Okay. All right, now I'm not asking you to grade their grammar or whatever, but if you note that they have a lot of grammar problems, then that would be a weakness, right? You say, oh, there's a lot of grammar errors. Maybe the strengths are, I don't know how well they reflected. So you've got to just, that's what you got to do to fill out. So it needs to be thoughtful. You're getting a grade for your comments here, and let me take, no, I don't want to save the changes. Okay, you'll need to save it and make sure that you could save it and call it, use your name and say Smith peer review for, T. Jones paper, something to make it really clear it's your paper, your peer review, and whose it was for. And then you would take it to theirs, not mine, and attach it, okay, in your reply. So that's all you have to do, okay, for that. And that's probably the most complex thing, other than, it's not complex, it's just new, to do, other than revising your paper. And again, timeliness affects that. Let me pull this back down. Okay, and let's go back to our Unit 4. See what else we have there. So it's peer review, primarily it's peer review week and final draft week. And if you, whoops, I went right past it. If you worked really hard last week on your reflection draft, then you're just tweaking this week. You're fleshing it out, you're making a few changes, so you finish and revise final draft of Essay 1. And this is just typical, this is what we do, on campus. We're in the classroom, we'll be talking about a new story, and students out, they would be bringing their draft to class one day and peer reviewing for 45 minutes or so, and we'd be talking about a new story that they'd be reading and taking a reading quiz on that, and they'd have to, outside of class for homework, be working on tweaking that draft and finishing that draft all within a week's time. And again, this is just a reflection. This is a pretty easy first draft. Doesn't require a lot of analysis, and you've done a lot of reflection already in your Web 2.0 video assignment, and you've done a lot of reflection really in the discussion board. So it's a matter of just getting that thing to be a well-constructed 5-paragraph essay. And that 750 word minimum to pass, and just want to stress that before we finished out our video today. Alright, so you want to then schedule time to watch the video on Rocking Horse Winter and submit that essay here, which you should know how to do, and not forget to read your short story, watch the video, and take your quiz. Take your quiz on it. All right, so that's this week. It is heavier. But it's not a short week. And like I said, if you worked hard last week on your draft and your discussion board, this won't be that bad. Okay, but it is your first major essay. Whatever you do, don't skip it. If you miss a quiz now and then, or you miss one assignment somewhere along the line, we have a lot of them. It hurts you, but you can recover. But if you miss a final draft major essay, it's very difficult to recover. And we don't accept those late unless you've got documentation for being put in the hospital for a significant amount of time. You have an entire week to work on this, and you were supposed to have started working on it significantly the week before. So do not miss that. Turn it in, make sure it's good, prioritize it. This is a composition class. The biggest part of your grade comes from these major essays. And so do your best, and then we're going to move on to the next one. We'll finish up Rocking Horse Winter, and on we'll go. So I hope you have a good week. It's going to be busy, but you can do it. You can do it. I'm looking forward to reading it.